Hey, it's Ed here. Today we're taking a look at technical analysis for Ethereum with the late wave theory. Last time when we were talking about ETH on counter-trend capital, we were here around March 5th. And since then, again, we had another drop down and now a pump up higher. Let's take a look at the higher time frame to see what we are again in terms of the Elliott wave count. So overall, what I've labeled this is a 5-way move like so. Where again we had no real extensions on any of these legs. Third is just beyond the 1.618 and fifth is very similar sized to this wave 1. So again, no extensions. We don't need the extensions, but that is just how I see it at the moment. Now, if we are comparing this in time, this whole structure against the current structure, we can see that we did not even hit the 38.2. Generally, we want to see this hit to make sure that this is relative or this new structure is relative to this one. If this is not hitting the 38.2, chances are that this is not a finished correction. This would mean that even if we had this as 3, this structure here in the middle would be part of this structure, which again is not complete, where this would be creating something like that and another 3-way structure down. At this point, again, we would use more time overall to make sure that, again, this is large enough of a structure overall. Hopefully that makes some sense. Let's take a look at where we actually landed up in here. We did not hit the golden pocket. We did go past the 50%. That is fine. Now, let's take a look at where we were last time when we were talking about ETH. So again, 5th of March was around here. And after that, we had a drop. So our expectation previously were that we were creating an A wave or wave 1, 2, and then another 1, 2 setup here. This was the more bearish setup. For the more conservative would be A, B, and then looking for C wave. We hit the 1.618 here, which turns us into more of a bearish scenario. Originally, again, I would have had this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, then again, we did start to get an impulse here and invalidated that idea completely up in here when we came back here. So this is the way we have to be labeling this if we want to have this as an ABC. The bullish option that we had was this one, where we had a 3-way structure into W, 3 ways into X, and then another 3-way into wave Y. Again, hitting that 1.618 turns us more bearish overall. However, again, this is basically the maximum we want to see WXYs go, and that is exactly what we had. We had divergence here, giving us the information that, okay, we are turning upside for at least temporarily, and then we would be most likely creating a wave 4 here in the form of that impulse wave, and then we would be looking for one more low. However, we did not do that. Now, at the time, again, we had a 3-way structure here. To me, this is still a 3-way structure. I can't really label this into a 5-wave, regardless of what is happening here. So, unfortunately, this is the one that is confusing a lot of Elliotticians here, and will be confusing. This is most likely, or we have to be labeling this probably as a wave 1. I don't know how I would be labeling substructures, but yeah, that is that. So overall, how I would be labeling this at the moment is impulsive. Based on the previous structures that we had, again, this was more of a 3-way, which indicated that, okay, we have a continuation to the downside, especially as we had this as a very large 3rd wave. Our 3rd wave looks like a 1, 2, 3, and we were expecting 4 and 5, but instead we got this pump up higher and we started to continue to the upside. Now at this point, again, I'm labeling this as a 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't really see us any way of having this as a very corrective move upside. So yeah, it is what it is. I can't really label this structure here at all. This can be labeled into a diagonal, which is decent, and then 3 ways down into wave 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is more conservative outlook here. We could have this as a 1, 2, 1, 2 here as well, at which point this 3rd would be all the way up in here on these highs instead, and this would be further going on up higher. Now, depending on how long this is going to take, we can compare this to either this wave 2 here or this wave 2 here. So again, at this moment, as I'm more conservative with this upside movement, I'm labeling this already as a micro wave 4 and not a wave 4 of this sub micro, comparing it to this one. So again, as mentioned, this is looking decent as a impulse to the upside. We have already hit some of the targets that we have for the third wave. The only thing that is weird is the extension target here, which is 2. Generally we don't hit that in the forms of 2. Generally we hit the 1.618 or the 2.618 or anything with the 0.618 at the end as more general target. So that makes me think that maybe this is indeed a part of this structure and we have a 1-2-1-2 setup here, but we'll see how that turns out. Again, at this moment the momentum is, or my eyes are on this structure over here, creating this structure. We don't really want to go too much below here, as this is the potential previous wave 4 of this substructure here. So again, that is something to keep in mind as well. Let's see here, and this 0.5 here is again the substructure of this third wave 4, which is again a better target overall as the maximum extension. However, if we are looking at these extension targets here, let's take a look at those, move this over. We can see that if we go anywhere beyond the 2 is so much less probable that this is indeed a 4 anymore. So again, keep that in mind if you're still wanting to long here, because this would be probably the best area to stop. Now at this point we have already created this 3-way structure. We have created new lows on RSI. Not quite fan of that as of yet. I think I want to be seeing that 1-to-1 at least hit, but until that happens I'm not going to be taking long setups. Maybe here I would be looking for a long setup here and some kind of another position somewhere around here against these lows. But again, thinking of the risk to reward ratio here, you want to be seeing something clear and potentially something like this. Let's see, where do we have it? If we come back all the way down here, 1-to-1 would be all the way up in here, so something like this. Yeah, depending on risk management too, anything beyond 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio is fine for me. So I would definitely be interested in taking a long setup here. If we are looking to create a very much of a pump here, we could be looking for a pullback already, now that we have actually taken out the liquidity down here now as we are creating this video. But yeah, that is definitely another setup there as well, if we just don't come back down here anymore. But yeah, I think those are the ideas that I have at the moment for this very much local structure. So how does this fit into the higher time frame? As I mentioned before, we had this time Fibonacci extension here. So there is a chance that this is starting something new. However, based on the Fib time, I would think that this is indeed part of this structure. So this would become a wave A, B, and then C, which would be the wave A, B, and then C here. That would give us more time to have this whole thing corrected. That took quite a long time. This took already, let's see, 86 days, and the correction that we had took only 20 days. So I kind of want to see us to create a bit larger correction here before we continue to the upside. But again, at this point, it looks like it wants to correct upside, at least one more after this structure is done. But definitely this is going to be allowing and giving us possibilities of shorting again downwards to create a correction for this structure. But yeah, I think those are the things that I'm looking for on ETH for the next week ahead. So let's see how that plays out. Check us out on Discord again. Let me know on the comments how you see ETH doing on the next week as well. It's always interesting to hear other people's opinions and views on the market. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you on the next video. Bye bye.